All right. I'd like to begin the third segment of the forum for tonight. This is for the County Commissioner District 1 seat. Candidates for this seat are Stephanie Podolsky and Timothy Schmidt. And I'll review the rules for the evening. Each candidate will have 1 minute to offer an opening statement. The candidates will then respond in turn to questions provided by the League of Women Voters of Rochester, this evening's partners, and by the audience. Candidates will have 1 minute each to answer, and then 1 minute to make a closing statement. You do have 3 rebuttal cards. These can be used at any point after all candidates have answered any individual questions. Only 1 rebuttal card may be used per question per person, but you could each use 1 rebuttal card per question. I'll make sure that everybody has their electronic devices turned off, and then we will be ready to begin. And I'm not going to be Jim Blair. I'm going to be Martha Raddatz in this event tonight. You catch my drift. My sister-in-law's Martha Raddatz. All right, our first question coming from the League of Women Voters.
How about we introduce ourselves?
Yep. Oh, wouldn't that be a good idea if we actually did follow the rules? Thank you. For opening statements, our first person to who drew the number 1 to begin with opening statements is Ms. Podolsky.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here tonight, and thank you for coming. I'm Stephanie Podolsky, County Commissioner of District 1, and I'd like to be that again. Everything I've done in my life has sort of prepared me for this position. I know how to listen, I know how to do research, and I'm very comfortable holding opposing points of view on any issue. I learned those skills by being a high school teacher, by running group homes for high-risk kids, by being an in-home family therapist, by being married for 46 years, by raising 2 children, and hosting about a dozen foreign exchange students for a year at a time. And although I worked with teenagers, I often wished that if I could start over, I would have studied to be a parent educator, to start younger. One thing I've learned is we can hardly start early enough intervening in and identifying families that need help. So I'm a little long in the tooth to start over, but I know that I can use my skills.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Schmidt.
Hello, my name is Tim Schmidt. I'm running for Olmsted County District 1. I was born in Rochester, graduated from John Marshall, have a business degree from the University of Minnesota Duluth, and an accounting degree from Winona State University. I currently work as an auto mechanic at Automotive Recyclers. My interest in politics began with a neighborhood issue a few years ago, and I began attending the city council meetings. I learned that local issues do matter, and it's easy, effective, and really worthwhile to get involved no matter what your interest. I always enjoyed history, so I joined the Rochester Heritage Preservation Committee. I love flying, so I joined the Joint Airport Zoning Board. Love tax accounting, so I joined the AARP tax aid program. And above all, I love the neighborhoods, especially the core neighborhoods, so I became a leader with the Northrop neighborhood. Our county has many exciting opportunities. As the city grows, we need to work together. As the state tightens our county's belt, we need to work with everyone, from nonprofits to schools to the city to other counties in the state.
Thank you very much. Our first question from the League of Women Voters, begin with Mr. Schmidt. What do you see as the most important issue facing Olmsted?
Well, if you go to neighborhood meetings in the core neighborhoods, they talk about traffic and parking issues and especially crime issues. I believe establishing drug courts can help with that. But our most pressing issue downtown is our aging population. The average age of the downtown neighborhoods or the downtown senior rises is 65 and older. And I've gone down to visit with them, and they've talked about how there's not much for seniors to do downtown. Let's face it, it's bars and high-end boutiques. They've talked about the need for the senior center, and talked to, especially at Park Towers, they mentioned that they couldn't sit out in their patio without being hassled by for cigarettes or money because the Civic Inn or the Salvation Army. So I believe as we get into our aging population, we need to pay more attention to seniors and see what we can do to help maintain them as a part of our community.
Did you ask for the county in general or my district?
County in general.
County in general. Well, there's 4 things that are driving issues in our county. We are aging, we are growing, we have more diversity, and we have increasing poverty. So those are 4 things we have to deal with all at once. Certainly adult protection is awfully important. We have senior citizens that are being financially abused by their relatives and families, and I see that as a very complex problem that we have to deal with. We have a lot of homelessness, and we have not much resources for homeless families and for homeless youth, although we're working on a plan for that. Our roads and bridges are deteriorating, and we have to invest in information technology. That's really the key for everything to get better in our county.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt? Oh, you did. You already answered. Do you have a rebuttal?
No rebuttal. I can answer it again if you want.
All right. No, thank you. We are hearing a lot about state mandated and unfunded services. Most of these fall within the area of providing human services. How do you propose that we deal with providing these services without having them funded? Will begin with Mr. Schmidt.
Well, our human services, I believe when you talk about human services, you also talk about community services and also talk about courts. The courts do play in as protectors for like vulnerable children. They hand out the order for our termination of parental rights. They also help protect seniors that are being exploited. And above all, like tying the drug courts. If you haven't heard about the drug court, it's a specialty court system that looks to send people into rehabilitation as opposed to just putting them back in jail. It's something Dodge County's been doing with good success, and it's also something Winona County started. Our county attorney has been trying to start it for a few years, and I would like to help them because I do believe it's well past time. Homestead has one too. Also, the Magic Act, if it passes, will allow counties to establish pilot programs with the state approval, and that would give Homestead not only opportunities to do our own pilot programs, but also look to other counties and see how they're successful.
Thank you.
The question is, how are we going to provide services with not enough money?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfunded.
that's a very good question. One of the places that I think we can have the biggest impact is in some programs we have that are not mandated. We have wonderful early childhood intervention programs here in Olmsted County. Those are not mandated because the state reacts to things, whereas we can be proactive. Every dollar that we spend on early childhood interventions, we're going to save $7 down the road. That's one way I see that. It's not an immediate thing, but it's going to help us in the future. And we will have to lobby. We have a lot of new legislators, maybe, and some pretty rookie ones that we need to go to the state to testify, to let them know essentially about unintended consequences of their legislation. And that is one of the jobs of a county commissioner, to do that.
Thank you. Our third question from the audience. How can private-public partnerships with businesses and with charities work to support Olmsted County's services? We'll begin with Mr. Golden.
When nonprofits form, they usually form around a special interest, and so they develop staff and programming that meet certain special interests. When the county sees a need, we put out something called a request for a proposal, And a nonprofit will respond to that if they feel that they can provide that service efficiently and humanely and with dignity. And they will give us that proposal, and we need to look at it as county officials and decide whether it's a bargain. And oftentimes it is.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
We've already got a lot of good partnerships in place. We've worked with Sunboro Valley Mental Health. And we do have more opportunities too, like the waste to energy facility. A lot of other communities have that as a public-private partnership. If we can do more, we can partner with the schools. We do have social workers at schools, and that's a very good, strong partnership there. I believe like help children in need, sometimes we can partner with like the YMCA's Link program. And one good private partnership we do have going right now too is the Silver Creek facility, otherwise known as the Wet House. Stands working very well and doing what it's supposed to, which is to keep the chronic inebriates safe and off the streets, and also helps reduce the workload for the police and the detox center. And actually it's a safe place. It's doing very good. 2 of the residents have actually been able to take this break and take stock of their lives and get into rehabilitation, which is actually a very good unexpected positive outcome.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with the postponement question, and it will go to Ms. Podolsky first.
Do you believe the county board does a good job of reaching out to constituents, welcoming citizens to county board meetings and seeking their input? Or does this need improvement?
I guess everything could be improved. We have a public hearing before every meeting where the public is invited, and we ask 3 times for people to come up and talk. We need, I think, a PR department at the county. And because I actually am proud of a lot of the things that the county does, I think we have some stellar programs, and I think people don't know that. And I think people don't know how difficult it is to provide services without the money, how hard our staff works, how caring they are, how stretched they are, what they've given up to provide services. And so I think that would be the best thing for us, would be to have a PR program.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt.
Yep, I believe the county can do more to reach out, and it's very worthwhile to get more of the public involved. As an elected official, we do respond to we represent the public, and we also look for the public for direction and also ideas. Some of the things we can do to reach out, when we can have evening meetings. The city and school board both do evening meetings. And when I go to the city council meetings, I see an agenda laying out front. And the city also posts video of their meetings on the website. If you look at the county website, you just get the audio. And if you go to the commission meetings, you do see PowerPoints, you see actually a lot of visual information. And one of the newer technologies is digital television. We'd like to see a sub-channel created that would actually carry both city, county, and school meetings for people who don't have cable television, or at least the rural people who don't have access to cable television.
Thank you. Our next post-bulletin question will begin with Mr. Schmidt.
Do you believe Olmsted County does enough to protect its natural resources, or is there a need for improvement in this area?
I believe the county is a very good steward of the environment. We do have the watershed projects going on at protect the Decorah Edge and also prevent farm runoff and just general water quality issues. One water quality issue that's coming up would be the frac sand. There's a rumor that someone's looking to start a processing facility near St. Charles, whether it's Winona County or Olmsted County, we're not sure. But I believe that's a good opportunity for us to get in and start zoning and possibly looking at what regulations we do want to have in place for frac sand in terms of the processing facility, or even mining if it does turn out that someone proposes a mine here.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy.
The two things that we need to watch over the most are air and water. We have a wonderful water plan that we just put together. It's a 10-year plan, and it's just lovely. If we can follow that, we will have protected our waterways and the buffer zones between farms that run off into the Zumbro rivers. And we have three watersheds in Olmsted County to watch over. The air quality is something that I am concerned about in terms of silica sand mining. We don't know yet what the impact of silica sand is. It seems that the most dangerous part of that is something called nanoparticles, which we can't see. So how are we going to know whether that is safe for us or not? We need some studies, and the state needs to help us with that before we start running trucks through our countryside, polluting in ways we can't see.
Thank you. Our third postponed question will begin with Ms. Podolsky.
This is about the waste to energy plant. It's experiencing a budget shortfall due to the decreasing volume of garbage coming into the facility. Do you think adding the third burner was a good idea? And what do you think the county could do to deal with the budget deficit right now, since garbage volume is not expected to increase during the next several years?
I think we're going to solve this problem just fine. We have 5 proposals in front of us right now. I think most of the commissioners do not want to put anything from the waste to energy facility onto the property tax bill, which means then that we'll come up with a solution such as enticing other counties to bring their garbage to us. I also know that when our recycling leaves our county, it goes up to the cities to be sorted, and there's about 10% of that which should be returned to us. It's funny to say, but that garbage belongs to us, and we need to burn it, and we don't get it back. So one of the things we can do is create our own recycling sorting area right here, and that way we'll be able to sell what we recycle, and we'll have that extra fuel. We're going to be fine with that facility.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah. Now, the new burner actually doubled up capacity, which may be a bit for right now, but there is no question Rochester is growing, and I believe overall our volume of trash is going to just keep continuing to grow. Although nationwide, there's referred to as peak trash. It's our per households are not generating as much trash as they used to. There's several trends pushing that, recession. Also, people are just getting more smarter and demanding more durable goods. So right now, we're mining the Kelmer landfill for burnables. That's probably going to be done within a year. And I do support the municipal recycling facility because, quite frankly, recycling is a very big industry, billions of dollars each year. And I believe that would be a valuable revenue stream for us. A few years back, the Municipal Pollution Control Agency estimated that probably only about 2/3 of the recyclables are getting captured before they go to the landfills. And one of the opportunities for waste energy is doing a public-private partnership to help with both the recycling facility and also with our steam heat.
Thank you. First question from the audience was from beginning with Mr. Schmidt. The state is expecting another budget crisis. Where is the area in the county government, where in the county government's budget would be any cuts?
This, as far as looking at specific programs to cut, that's something that has to just go through our budget process. I couldn't really point to a single item to say cut here, cut there. So it's one of the reasons why we do need the public input. We do have a valuable staff that's got a lot of experience that can help us guide us through these budget talks. And one of the things too is just getting a lot more smarter about doing business. We've been striving to improve how we deliver with the dwindling resources. And even without the Magic Act, I do believe we have chances to collaborate with especially other counties, since other counties do similar services. There's been several stuff from IT to 911 call center to as being partnering with other counties. So I believe just play the process out and get smarter as time goes on.
Thank you, Ms. Podolsky.
Well, we have to face the fact that we no longer can do everything and spend less. Almost every decision we make from this point on is going to cause some concern or harm to something or someone. And those are not easy decisions to make. I think the place that we can become, we always have to increase our productivity and become more efficient. And I think the place where that's going to happen is how we handle information. We have a process called Lean now, which looks and maps out everything that someone has to do, from how they answer the phone to how they fill out the forms to where the form goes next. And the Lean process tries to eliminate any extra steps in that process. And then we move from that into a thing called LEAP, which is lean processing and applied policies, which adds then information technology to that process. And I think that's the place where we're going to save money the most.
Thank you. Our next audience question will again begin with Mr. Schmidt. The city appears to be developing projects designed for younger people. How would you as a county board member champion projects for the elderly, especially the elderly in downtown?
Oh, one thing, I believe the senior center does need more support, but the main thing is through the Vital Aging Commission. Right now it's kind of just advisory, kind of out their own group. I believe we should kind of empower it a bit more so that they can take in more information, take public ideas, and then also have the ability to either make recommendations to the commission or act upon these things to help with seniors. When you're talking about more things to do seniors downtown, we do need like department stores, a grocery store downtown would help, and above all, transportation needs. Our buses, they don't run in the evenings, they don't run on Sundays. As a first-class city, we should have a 24-hour transit system. And the main thing is basically look for businesses that can come down, and if there's a way that the county can do incentives, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Ms. Podolsky.
When we allow multiple housing units, we need to think before we place them, what's around that unit that's going to support that? We do need grocery stores, we need hardware stores, and we need a better transportation system. That is going to be an ongoing problem for us as our population ages, how to get from one place to another. So I think our bus system is woefully inadequate right now that we have. I also think we should support the Senior Citizen Center more. They have a social worker who takes a lot of, who does a lot of work for the members of the Senior Citizen Center, and I think that position goes a bit unappreciated. And because of that work that they do, I think we should support the Senior Citizen Center more.
Thank you. Our next audience question will begin with Ms. Podolsky. Victim services, the victim services program have had significant cuts. Can you address this problem?
Victim services is one of those programs that's not mandated. We made that program because, as Luoli said, people need to be made whole. We pull the money out of corrections to do that, and I think we should continue to do that, even if we have to go into our reserves. There's doesn't make any sense to me that we spend more money on the court system than we do on making people whole who've been victimized. I think we can make some money with that program because we have such good staff that we can cross-train and we can train other counties, and teach them how to support their victims, and maybe bring in a little money that way.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
I believe this is one of those sort of areas where we can have a great opportunity to collaborate with the nonprofits and possibly the churches. Main thing that's needed is counseling services, which nonprofits have been willing to step up and provide volunteers, and they can help extend our staff and also help extend our detention budget.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Podolsky first, and the question is, what are your priorities for the use of emergency preparedness dollars?
Well, we've just built a wonderful training center for emergencies, and it's a regional center. So it has a burn tower. It teaches firemen how to respond. It teaches emergency staff how to respond. It teaches law enforcement how to respond. That's a wonderful facility for our dollars. Anything we do in social services which takes pressure off of law enforcement is also a good use for our dollars. If they're not having to transport people to detox, if they're not having to deal with juvenile delinquents because we have intervened, then we've saved money.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
There was a well-publicized split between the city and the county over emergency preparedness planning, and the city has gone ahead and they've done their own plan, but the county still does not have any plan in place. I think we need to ask why we don't have a plan, and also ask that it needs to mate up with the city plan as well. And hopefully we can rebuild some bridges there, because emergency preparedness planning is vital to continuity of services and to recover from tornadoes, terrorist attack, whatever may come.
Thank you. Our next audience question. We'll start with Mr. Schmidt. Aren't the county meetings held during the day? And how can working people attend these?
Myself, I've been a regular at the city council meetings, and one of the main reasons is because they're in the evening and it's easy to attend. I believe that the county should at least have evening meetings as well, or otherwise try to get the video up on the website. As far as myself goes, I've been attending the past. I occasionally attend them. Usually it's the budget hearing committee, which is supposed to be an evening meeting. Otherwise, I've been taking time off. And also, one of the other problems with having the meetings during the day is that you do have to pay for parking. And one of the big advantages of the evening is that it's free parking.
Thank you, Ms. Podolsky.
There was a time when the county board meetings were all in the morning, and turned out that was not very easy for farmers to get in, and so they added afternoon meetings so that they could come in after their chores were done. Well, we now are no longer just a rural county, and I think an evening meeting would be fine. I can see where it's very difficult for working people to take time off and come to the county and testify to us about things that are on their mind. And maybe that's why we don't hear as much of it as we should. So an evening meeting is fine with me.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Ms. Podolsky. What is your philosophy about lobbying for and or accepting tax dollars from the state and federal government?
What is my opinion about taking tax dollars from the state and federal government?
Lobbying for them.
Lobbying for them. Well, I think we should lobby as hard as we can. I have no problem with that. That's, you know, the function of well, government is the one institution that we have that looks after the long-term interests of the public. And against the short-term, narrow, and sometimes personal interests of individuals who want to take more than they should, or companies that that want to limit the options for the future generations. And they're lobbying, and I think our cause is much more humane, and why not lobby for them?
Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, I believe one of the jobs of an elected official is to go lobby especially the state and the other levels, for the funds that we do critically need. One of the things too is I view every dollar that's spent in the county by the state is something that's tax collected from the people in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Otherwise, we're basically collecting property tax, which would be you and me. And the higher up we can push it, the bigger pot we can find. So I believe it is desirable to go after state and federal money wherever we can. And as far as lobbying goes, it's something that as elected officials we should be doing. I don't necessarily believe in hiring a professional lobbyist, though.
Thank you. Next question will be given to Mr. Schmidt. What, if any, can the county do to address homelessness in our community?
We've already got several good plans in place. We have facilities like the Francis House, the Silver Creek facility. While not necessarily homeless, it does serve a population that is typically homeless. We can help out, maybe looking more at youth and youth. There's the same corporate, let's see, the name of the corporation is Center City Housing is now looking to build a 60-unit multi-housing complex, 30 units for homeless families with children, 30 units for homeless teens. And something with their facility too that they're proposing is that there'd be school and tutoring available for the kids, and also family counseling for the families. And also, I mentioned before, we can do nonprofits and partner up with that way.
Thank you. Ms. Podolsky?
I've been involved now with this project called Growing Home. It's a wonderful idea that combines the Center City Housing, who is willing to build housing for homeless families and homeless youth on some land that we have by the waste energy facility. And our plan is to combine that with a garden, and not just a little garden, a big greenhouse, a composting site. We have steam, we have compost, we have extra energy, we have engineers, and we can teach job skills to people who stay in those homes, in that housing. So when they leave, they'll have a way to find a job. They'll know about marketing, or they'll know about gardening. And it started with that wonderful program at Golden Hills, which has taken kids who don't thrive in the ordinary school system, and by teaching them gardening skills has actually gotten them to come to school all the time. And they put eggplants and potatoes and tomatoes in their backpacks and take them home.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question will begin with Ms. Podolsky. What do you propose be done to shore up the county roads and bridges now in decline or closed?
That's one of our big problems at the moment. It's one of those things, well, you can pay us now or you can pay us later. And we have, 20 years ago, Public Works was the biggest part of our budget, and now it's about a third. And it's happening. Our roads are deteriorating. Our bridges are deteriorating. One of the things that we've discovered is a new slurry that we can put on the tops of roads, which protects them. It's going to give us maybe 8 or 10 more years out of a road. And we are going to have to find a way to squeeze out more money right now, because we can't let our infrastructure suffer.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt.
I believe roads are a major part of the county's responsibilities, and is something that should be given a high priority. We are currently falling behind in terms of miles that we need to resurface, and we do need to catch up with that. And of course, it's a nationwide problem, and for bridges and and road maintenance, and I believe we should continue keeping that as a priority.
Thank you. Next question begins with Mr. Schmidt. What would you suggest as 3 items for the agenda of the next meeting of the city, county, and township officials?
One I believe is emergency management planning. The city and county did go separate ways, and I believe it is vital to keep communication there. Another one is would be water quality, watershed issues, and it's something that well, not just watershed, but also like flood control, that kind of stuff. The city and the county do tie together for both of those. And also one of the new things that they're talking about is a regional 911 call center, which the 14 counties may merge to 2, 3, or 4 call centers, and currently the city and the county partner up with the one at the government center right now.
Thank you. Ms. Widdowski?
I would put transportation needs on that. We have to cooperate. We have a lot of, a great matrix of roads, which some are county, some are city, some we have to turn back to the city, some the city wants, some the cities don't want. And sharing equipment, our sand and salt use during the winter, those are things we can talk about. The emergency dispatch, we have to do a lot of cross training. We have a lot of ground to repair in the cooperation between the city and the county with emergency services right now. That fell apart for a while. And it's always nice for us to listen to the needs of law enforcement as they tell us where problems are, and social services can step in and see if there's people we can help and intervene before things get worse.
Thank you.
Green card.
Yes?
One thing to note too is I think we've just had an annual county-city meeting. We had one year before, but before that was a decade before that happened. And I think that's something that does need to be happening on an annual basis, and we should plan to have an annual meeting between the city and the county.
Thank you. That concludes the time for our questions. We'll move on next to the candidates' closing statements. By the drawing of numbers, Mr. Schmidt will go first, and Ms. Widdowski will go second.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Post Bulletin for hosting this forum. And also I'd like to thank the audience. Democracy depends on a well-informed electorate, and it's great that you guys all showed up to do so. We all depend on getting involved and sharing our time and experience. And I've got involved because I love the feeling of community and also just working towards a common goal of the group. And I always encourage others to do so. My name's Tim Schmidt, and I'm looking to earn your vote for Olmsted County.
Thank you. Ms. Widdowski?
I see the job of county commissioner as threefold. We need to create and maintain programs that the state has mandated and that our citizens have requested. We have a huge job to oversee the public trust in raising how we use our tax dollars and how we set our budgets. And we have to make policies that look down into the future. It's kind of hard to look into the future when you're embroiled in immediate economic problems. But look, we all sit in the shade of trees we didn't plant. We eat from fields we didn't clear. We went to schools we didn't build. We drive on roads we didn't construct. We go to parks that we didn't fight for. Someone else did that for us, and we need to do that and protect the things that we want to protect and build for the future generations. And I see that as a very important part of being a county commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank each of the candidates for participating in tonight's forum. Thank you for your service to the community and for your willingness to participate in the democratic process of running for office. I'd like to remind you all here tonight that the views expressed in the forums were those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters Rochester, or any partner or sponsor of the forum. Thank you to our partners, the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce, the Rochester Post-Bulletin, the Public Library, and RCTC. Our supporting sponsors we thank as well. I'd like to remind you that Election Day is on November 6th. You may do absentee voting in Olmsted County. That is at the Olmsted County Fairgrounds now, 1421 3rd Avenue Southeast. Don't forget to vote. If you have any question about your polling place, if your district has changed, you visit the Secretary of State website at www.sos.state.mn.us or Google it. To see this forum again, view it on cable channel 10. Check out the DVD from the Rochester Public Library or access the forums online through the Rochester Public Library website. Thank you all and drive home safely.